together, left and left. Oh! How are you feeling after winning this first ever gold title?
Yeah, I'm really happy with how I played this week.
Okay, well, give us a nice big trophy list moment. Let's hear it for your Gillett Markets London Squash Classic champion 2024, Sivasangari Subramaniam!
How do you perceive relationships?
You know, a lot of people these days can't do long distance.
Would you let your kids take up sports?
Oh, it's a tough question.
What was the most challenging part of convincing your parents?
I told them I will get a degree. Just give me a year.
உன்னால முடியும் சிங்கப்பெண்ணே உள்ள வெளியில வா.
If I would have got those comments, I would be like, oh, screw it.
I wanted to start off with first. Why don't you tell me something about Sangari that I can't find outside?
So I grew up in Kedah.
Okay.
I born in Sungai Petani, but grew up in Alusta. Actually, before I started squash, I played a couple other sports as well. Badminton, swimming, taekwondo.
Okay.
I also did Bharatanatyam.
Okay.
But yeah, I picked up squash and then I moved to KL when I was 15.
You are 25, right?
I'm 25.
Okay, so in 25 years, you have done 25,000 things already.
Yeah, I think
okay.
roughly, yes, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, I moved to KL when I was about 15, 16. Family is here too. I have an older brother with me. He's now working.
What was your goal when you first started off this year?
So I started off the season, I obviously wanted to break into top 10.
Yeah.
But actually, when I started off the season, I was way below my ranking. I was like 40-something due to the accident and the break and stuff. So didn't really expect much actually from this season. Like I obviously wanted to do well, but to be at my highest world ranking again now, it's actually crazy to think back. And yeah, I'm here now and I still want to try to break into the top 10 by end of the season.
Walk me through this run, this crazy run that you had at the London Classic. You are this young girl from Sungai Petani, Kedah. You're now right in the middle of London. You're facing all these giants, literally and physically as well. They're huge. They are great at what they do. Here you are, a small young girl from Sungai Petani and from Malaysia. You're facing up against this world beaters. How did that journey start from the get-go?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just I played a lot of tournaments over the past few years, and I always want to beat all these players. I'm working hard to beat, obviously not just around my standards, but to beat all these top 10 players, top 5. So obviously, I didn't expect much for myself. I went in with no pressure. Obviously, the first round I played against a girl around my ranking, I think, or slightly lower. I won, and then I had to play the world number 1 in the quarters.
Let me pause you there. So you're in the quarterfinals, you're playing the world number 1. Do you already, like, before you go anything, our world number 1, do you start off with that sort of mentality or?
No, I didn't. But I respected her. Like, she's like 7 times world champion and really humble person, and I respected her, but I wanted to go out and give a go, obviously try my best, and if winning or losing is part of it, but for me, I always want to try to play my best and try to sustain with them. Like, even though if I don't get the win, I know I can, the next time I play them, I'm getting closer,
But in a game like squash, you're literally in that space with someone who's clearly having done so much more, clearly better than you in terms of what they've achieved.
Yeah.
How do you tell yourself that I am going to compete first? Compete kastam illaya? And to order go and compete and win, like, don't they, like, where do you start? Adana kekren solrana. Winning is something that happens, but before you even step into into the court, how do you even tell yourself that I actually have a chance?
No, I think for me, I just try to stay as positive as I can. I don't want to go in with a losing mindset. Then there's really no point of you even playing the game. If you're going to go in like, oh shit, I'm going to lose, What I've obviously this is the mental aspect of the game. Physically, like, maybe I can go with her, but mentally, if I'm going with a losing mindset, then it's tough. But I told myself to just try to stick with her point by point, right? If it works out, something will happen, right? So before that, I had my mental coach with me actually. So we were talking a lot about the game and whatever that has happened to me and now and where I am and stuff like that. So
All this happens while you're at the
no,
game?
before.
Or
So I
before you
spoke to him before my match. We normally have like a small talk and like try to remind what I want to do and things like that. So
Mind me asking, if you don't mind me
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah.
What does he say? What do you talk to him?
for him, like he's
Like, does he tell, like, உன்னால முடியும் சிங்கப்பெண்ணே உள்ள வெளியில வா, like, is he all this Vijay big things,
No.
or does it sit you down?
Like he talks like things like like obviously a lot of people always look at their losses. Like they always look at what they have not done, or like they don't see their gains. Like for example, like for me, obviously the accident and things like that. A lot of things have happened, but even after that, along the way, like I've achieved a few things like Asian Games and like tournament in Hong Kong I won. So he spoke to me about it, and like I've built myself till up here. Like why am I not pushing myself further? Right? Like to get that mindset going into the game was good. So I went in. I didn't had any pressure, and I know she had a lot of pressure. Like obviously being that higher seed and being an underdog,
She's expected to
yeah,
win.
two different positions. So I went in and I just played like I was very relaxed. Somehow I just won, and I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. I was like, did it really happen? Like it went by really quick. Because
Were your coach surprised?
no, he was like obviously. I think everyone was surprised. Like even my parents were surprised. I was like, even I myself was surprised, right? So I was like, oh, like I can actually do it. Like nothing is impossible. It's proven, right? So yeah, it was a great feeling.
What do you think made the difference that day?
I think it was just
Did you eat anything different? Did you drink something? I mean, eat in sense of like, I had this.
no. I think it's just more of the mindset. I think going into the court, like trying to forget that she's a world number one, trying to just think as she's just another squash player, and I'm going in just to play another match. I feel like if you think of someone like, oh, she's world number one, like, all these external factors will play with your mind. So I just went in with like two squash players basically competing for a semi-final spot. So I think that was the biggest difference. I was very relaxed and calm, and like the atmosphere was great. So that helped me out a lot. So yeah, I think that's the way.
I believe there were a lot more supporters for you in that.
I think I think generally supporters try to support the underdog a bit more, because Shabini has been winning so many tournaments. So they normally support the underdog.
Okay, and then obviously the final win against the world number 2. If I'm not wrong. Again, walk me through that day.
I mean,
like I'm sure you've beaten world number 1. You're like, okay, at this point, the confidence is there. You have done something that, I mean, world number 1 in the Gurstana, you'll be a bit more confident. But now you're doing it in the final. Doing it in the final against another world beater is another difficult thing to do. How do you do that?
I guess it's like it's not to say it's a lot. Like there must be a lot of difference between world number 1 and world number 2. But then for me, it's still I'm going in with another tough opponent. So on the semi-final day itself, I had like a 90 minutes match against the world number 4 from Belgium. So what I was worried was my physical, how I'm going to feel physically. But next day I woke up and I felt fine, which was good. So I was like, okay, maybe, another go, another push. Why not? Last push. And again, I'm the underdog.
Yeah.
Like I didn't go in with any pressure. I was like, whatever happens. Like I just want to go and play well, and a lot of people are watching. I'm not going in just to like give away the match or like be frustrated or not playing well. So I just went in with again a positive mindset. Tried to.
So you're not the type of athlete who puts a lot of like expectations on themselves. You don't go in saying that, I am like sometimes people like tend to do this whole. They hype themselves a bit too much.
No, a lot of athletes do that. Like I think a lot of them expect from themselves a lot. A lot of them are expected from others, So I've been in that position a lot of times, even for myself as well. I've expected a lot for myself, but I think when I entered the London Classic final, I just told myself, what, like I've made it this far. Why would I want to put pressure on myself to be like, oh, I need to win the tournament? To be even making it to the finals is like crazy. So I just went in just again like the same mindset, same way of how I've been going in for the semi-finals and quarters. I just went in relaxed, and somehow I got the win.
How would you describe yourself as an athlete? You are obviously, I mean, just judging based on whatever you're saying, you're obviously someone who's used to sort of just, okay, I'm the underdog. But obviously you can't just get away with that, right?
No,
obviously, you obviously you need to have a personality as an athlete. Well, how would you describe yourself as an athlete?
So I think I'm a two different person when I'm training and when I'm playing a match. During training, I have very high tantrums,
Okay.
which no one really watches that.
Tantrums meaning like you what throw the racket,
Anger,
what
like I have anger, like because I expect a lot from myself.
Okay.
So when you're trying to expect a lot of yourself, and
So you're basically a bit like Ambi la, Ambi and like when you're training, you're like
I'm
the
the crazy one.
crazy one, and then when you're
But
playing,
when
you're
I'm
the
playing,
Remo
everyone like,
la.
oh, she's so calm, she's so relaxed. If only they watch me during training, they'll be
Okay.
like, oh my god.
I've heard the other way around. I've heard athletes who are
Yeah.
very chill in training, but when they are playing, they go with high intensity.
Yeah.
They shout, scream, and stuff like that.
I think every athlete's different again,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I feel like I expect a lot from myself. So even during training, when something doesn't work out, I get really pissed off or angry and stuff. But during tournament, I can't have that attitude. Like it's a match, and I try to calm myself. That's why I'm working with my mental coach. Everyone says like, oh, as an athlete, you have to be physically fit. You have to.
Yeah.
It's all about physical. But like the mental side of the game is really, really important. And I think that's where I've been working on recently. So
Sorry, I am always very interested when someone tells me they have anger issues because I like to dig deep into it sometimes. Why anger issues? Where is that? Did that stem from? You think? Like, is it from your background in sports or like?
I think,
do you have like strict parents who tell you expect a lot from you?
my parents are strict, like generally like a typical Indian family, right?
Okay.
Like they want me to go study, get my degree, and then. But obviously they supported me in my squash career, which was
Are they into
really
sports?
Good. My dad used to play hockey way back,
Okay.
but not really. Then that's about it.
So was this like this? Have you watched this? I mean, I'm not sure how much you watch Tamil movies, but have you watched this Kana movie? This one, Satyaraj, you'll go with his daughter. He wants the daughter to be a cricketer, so he'll bring the cricket bat with his daughter to the ground. All that, Your father never did all that.
No, Papa didn't do that.
No wonder. Okay.
No, but like obviously they were very supportive when I was younger and like when I was back in Kedah. When I was growing time. And
So you're saying your parents wanted you to be into sports?
I think in the beginning they were just sending us for exercise purposes and
Okay.
just for fun, social stuff. But eventually, I think I got really serious. For me, if I want to do something, I really want to do it, and I don't care about anything else.
I'm sorry. You have an elder brother, right?
I do.
Was it so? Was this need to kind of like impress? Was it because you wanted to be like show your parents I'm better than my brother?
No.
Because usually that's what happens. I'm sorry
No.
for psychoanalyzing you without you telling me, but like usually that happens. Like I've heard that this younger you're the youngest, right? So you're trying to like always show your parents that look at me, I can do this. Look, Appa, and then you do all that nonsense, right? Like, was it that?
Me and my brother always grew up together in terms of like going for sports and stuff. He also played squash and like. It's good that he was my brother. If he was my sister, it might be a different story. Maybe like what you said, but
Yeah.
we always grew up together, anyways, in terms of playing and stuff. But I think with the anger issues, I don't know how it comes. Like it's just not on court actually. Even off court, sometimes I do have all these issues, and I think it's more of the expectation in terms of squash. I think it's more of the expectation I put on myself to do well. But I think off court, it's more of just me being tired and. Yeah.
What expectations do you put on yourself? You think like from childhood? Like why do you think this need to put? Do you think you have to win it or you have to? Where is this drive?
I want to do it. Like
Yeah.
again, I told you if I want to do it, I will do anything to get it right. So, in terms of wanting something, it's a goal, it's a target to reach. But if you're not reaching the target, it's gonna your emotion takes over. Like you're like, why is it not happening? How am I going to make it better to reach those goals and things like that? So, I think that's when all these external emotions comes in and affects the game.
How do you put yourself in a position where you're constantly trying to go and win the next?
So I guess it's not always positive. I think even I have the questions of like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I can just quit squash, find a job, go to a 9-to-5 job, and earn some money. But I think everyone would ask that question. Everyone would doubt themselves. But I think for me, I always ask that. I ask the question myself. But then eventually, like after a few minutes or what, I'm like, okay, screw it. Like forget about it. Like go and work. Go for training. Go and do whatever you need to do. And again, like I'll have good wins and bad losses, and just again, like it's so easy for us human beings, emotions to take over whatever we are going through. Like, but I just try to keep that emotions away. Obviously feel it, but don't feel
Don't
too
let
much.
it. Don't let it
Don't
overtake you. Yeah.
But and try to just reach. I've said, like I want to break into top 10. So these are all small goals to become world number one eventually,
Yeah.
right?
Have you ever sat and looked at yourself when I'm 25? As you said, I could just be chilling, having fun, doing other things that people my age do.
Yeah.
And it's a toxic space, I'm assuming. But if you go deep down into it, you'll get into a rabbit hole and start doubting everything. How do you get out and, as you said, go back to thinking, okay, I have a purpose. My purpose is this. How do you come back out and stick to your goal?
Yeah, I guess also squash is an individual sport.
Yeah.
So it does get lonely. It does get,
Correct.
as a team, like if you're going in as a team sport, like you have at least your team members around you supporting or motivating you. But when you go into these individual sports, it's all about you. Or, like it's you and you, right? Like it's you versus you, basically. No one else is involved. But I think for me, what keeps me going every day is just all these small goals that I'm listing down to achieve. Obviously, there's main ultimate goal of world number one, and since now squash is in the Olympics, obviously to qualify for that and win a medal. But before that, like it's a progress. I'm just trying to live the moment. Like there's no point actually really looking at the past or like looking to the future, because nothing is confirmed in this life. So for me, it's like just try to live the moment and do what I need to do. And yeah, again, as you said, I think I've sacrificed a lot. Like people my age, my friends are not when
What do you think is, if you can name me some of the sacrifices?
I even training now in the US. It's
Okay.
I love being home. Like I
Okay.
have my friends here, my family's here, everyone's here, food, all these things. But I think being in US, I like my coach. I have a couple of friends here and there, but it's not really the same life as back home, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
that's already a big sacrifice, because I like training there. Like I don't mind training in Malaysia, but I like the environment there better. So
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest sacrifice I'm doing right now, to not be my family and like to go there and just focus on what I want to do in my squash career. Apart from that,
Does it get lonely there in that
it definitely
in the
does.
headspace there
Definitely
when you're
does, definitely. It's tough. I get homesick a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously now during the season I travel out back and forth a lot. Taking.
I'm assuming your families, obviously they can't come to every single tournament.
No,
you play.
they used to, like my dad used to come for but during the junior days, but
Yeah.
when I turned professional and like he doesn't, they both don't really travel much
Yeah.
anymore. So, but
ஆமாமா நீ ஹாங்காங் ஈஜிப்ட் அங்கன்னு போ எல்லாத்தையும் நான் வந்துட்டு இருக்க முடியுமான்னு கேட்பாங்க கரெக்ட்
yeah, no,
Yeah.
you just go
Yeah.
go and try to win. That's all.
Right.
But during the season I travel a lot. Even traveling, I'm traveling alone.
Yeah.
I'm not traveling like with people and stuff like that. So it gets lonely. It does. Like I guess it's just a lifestyle, but also sacrifices, right? Like I can just go out and hang out with my friends at night and like come back late night or whatever. But then the next day, who's going to train for me?
Yeah.
Like, again, it's me versus like you versus you, right? I can just not go in. But I'm losing a day of training, whereas every other athlete, every other players are training hard, So, yeah.
So tell me, Sangari, I mean, all I'm hearing is all the sacrifices you're making, and I go back to that question. Then what is then obvious? But obviously you're getting something out of this. That's why you're continuing to do this at this age. Then why do you do this? Do you like validation?
I hate fame. I hate all
Bullshit.
these things. No, I do. I actually
Okay.
don't. I don't.
So you don't do this for the validation that it gets you, like.
I did it for you.
No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not talking about this podcast. I'm talking about this career that
Generally,
you're
I
taking.
think I do it for passion of the sport, for sure.
Okay.
I do love the sport a lot, and I've started since I was very young. So
Sure.
all this hard work I've put in, why all of a sudden I just need to stop, right? Like,
Yeah.
so why not just try and like just keep going? Like I've reached this far. I've done so
Okay.
much to get here. Why not just give myself a couple other years to like, try to go further. If it doesn't work out, okay, but if it works out, it's great. It's great for me. Yeah.
Then you come across to me as a very unique athlete then, because a lot of people that I obviously observe and I obviously, as much as I don't play sports, as you can see, I follow sports a lot, so obviously I'm a huge a fan of certain sports personalities, and they all have one thing in common. They have this need to validation. So I asked you, like they want to go prove themselves that they're good at this. They might have come from a very difficult childhood, poverty, and you don't seem to have any of that. Going back to this, once you won the London Classic, what were the first things that your parents told you?
I mean, obviously, they were super proud of me.
Okay.
Like called them up straight away because I think they're the first one I called and really happy. And they're like, oh, my mom's like, oh, I can't believe you did this and things like that. They watch on TV. They follow every match of mine, right? So they were very, very happy. Like they were like proud, like of just how strong I came back. And you know, to be winning this after like, I mean, it feels like forever. But like the crash happened, but only a year and a half ago it happened. So to be coming back from that and to be like actually winning big tournament.
Obviously, I've made this far. You're 25 this year, and I'm assuming. Sorry, mind my, me being dumb. But I'm assuming, like any other sport, squash also has your under 8, under 10, under 12. Does it work like that? Like your age
For juniors, yes.
Yeah, age level tournaments. Did you compete in all those?
Under 9, under 11, 13, 15, 17.
Okay, so there's 9, 11, 13, 15, and
19 is the last one.
Okay, and then you turn pro.
And then you go professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you excelled in each of this age group. Did you, or were you bad at this and then suddenly at one age you're like, hey, shit, I'm good at this? Like, did it work like that?
No, it was a progress. Like,
so you were sort of like consistently
one of the top, like in my age category.
That's my question. How do one be that good? So I'm assuming a lot of kids, take up these sports at age of 12, 15, 16, but they don't turn pro. So something's clearly is differentiating you from this back. What do you think at the age of 12, that Sangari age of 12, at the age of 15, what do you think was different about her at that different age level?
I think when I was younger, I didn't have any anger issues playing squash. I was very young. Like I was just playing for fun. You know, I went for tournament when I was 9. My first tournament was 9. I went for an under 9. I did decently well. Then started from there onwards. I was like, okay, let's try out. Let's just go in every day, train, and
You didn't have any other hobbies at age of 9, 12?
So I think
You didn't want to go watch Barbie. Is that what people watch these days? Like, what was your other? Did you have any?
I was doing piano and stuff, but once I started squash, like I realized that everything else was put aside because I had to travel for tournaments. Because that time I was still back in Kedah.
Yeah,
I had to travel all the time to KL on weekends and stuff like that. So like with school as well and things. So my parents were like, okay, you just play squash.
You didn't want to do anything else at age of 9 to play?
Study.
Really? Like music, Justin Bieber, One Direction, like you didn't have that sort of thing?
I mean, I probably had it. I don't know. I can't remember.
Again, I'm not trying to be funny for the sake of it. What I'm trying to say is, in your case, at 9, 12, 15, you know, as a young girl growing up, you would have the world that's being exposed to you. How come you never got distracted?
I think when I was like younger, when I was 9, 11, 12, I think at that point in time, obviously I wasn't thinking of doing pro, you know. Like I was just like, okay, let's just play, have fun, go for tournaments. You know, I feel like it was like a get away from school or like enjoy, because I had like friends.
So that was the motivation. It sort of distracts you from studies.
Let's just have fun, go play and
school at least
and then I think when I really got serious, when maybe I was 14, 15, I was like, okay, you know, it's working out well. And then I moved to KL as well.
Why do you think it was working out well for you at age of 14?
Because I was like winning tournaments, and then like some of like top players or like, you know, better players in the high age group or my coaches and stuff like that, they were like, you have potential to do well and things like that. And I was always a hard worker. Like,
how did you build that sense of hard? Was it something that you've always had and then you applied it on squash, or how does that work?
I think I've always had it. Like obviously my parents were there to push me, but they didn't put any pressure. They were like, you want to do it, you do it. It's up to you, right? They're more focused on my studies. Like, you know, you have to study well, get a degree, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of sports, it was like up to you. You want to do it, you do it. It's, you know, we're not forcing you, right? So I think it was always me, like if I want, again, like I told you, if I want to achieve something, I'll try to do whatever I can. And I always believe in hard work. In any scenes, like not just sports, anything you do, you need to put work into it, then you'll get the outcome, right? So I think ever since the age of like 14, 15, I think that was when I was really serious about the sports, and I was just working hard to be.
Are you a sore loser?
No.
You don't think you so you don't
I don't give excuses when I lose and all those shit, so.
But like what do you feel when you lose?
I just beat myself up.
Okay. Like
I
literally?
don't like blame everyone. Like a lot of athletes, you see, oh, I got injury, oh, I got this. I'm not telling anybody here, but a lot of the
Is
athletes.
there any particular athlete you're
No,
referring
no,
to?
no.
We need controversies in
No,
the show.
I don't-
We'll use it as a clickbait for the pro. I'm kidding.
No,
But
yeah.
do you see that as a flaw with certain athletes? Don't think that's a good thing to have?
I don't think it's the right thing to have. Like,
Okay.
when you have an injury, if you lose, you lose. Like,
Okay.
Don't come up and like, oh, my legs.
Today this racket is the problem.
Racket is broken, so I couldn't play.
The string
all this-
tension, you don't come out. There's
I don't
places.
come out all that. Man. Yeah.
So when you lose certain matches, sorry for bringing that up, I guess, but you just mentioning to me that you obviously
Lost
your
in
last
Egypt,
tournament.
yeah.
How does that? So how do you process
It's
that?
tough. Like, obviously, I take a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 days to really process the loss and like try to reevaluate what happened in the match and speak to my coach and stuff like that. But after a few days, like, I guess, like for me, if I'm playing well and I lose, it's still okay. Like, I'm down, but like I'm getting there. But
Yeah.
the tough part for me is when I don't play well and I lose. Obviously, if I don't play well, I'm going to lose. But that's the harder piece for me. And I'm like, again, that question of like, why am I doing this, right? So like, I put
So
so much-
you're the kind of person that so when you lose, you go back into that self doubt of
Yeah,
Ilan
I
naman
definitely
Italia,
do. Yeah, definitely. I definitely it's I think it's a normal thing to
Yeah,
have, right?
sure.
So I think I do get into that phase of like, oh, but it's how quick you can recover from that
yeah.
and come back to yourself and go again. You need to go again. Like no matter how shit you feel, you need to stand up and go again, right? So that's yeah.
Going back to your successes, one of the things obviously I'm sure you'll get asked this question a lot, but sometimes we have to kind of reinforce that conversation. We live in a country, Malaysia, as in a country where female athletes are obviously very scarce. Like we don't get many Sivasangaris being in the headlines, and especially being an Indian girl, it's almost impossible, right? So I think the nation celebrated even more. I feel because we finally found another success story with you. Why do you think I am not interviewing many more Sivasangaris?
I guess in terms of sports in Malaysia, like I feel like a lot of them like do see it as they don't see it as a career. I guess it's a tricky topic, right, to talk about. Like obviously parents like study, go and be a doctor, engineer, lawyer, typical thing. But I think what I feel is like it's always possible to go and get a degree and also pursue a professional career in any sports. It's not impossible. If you want to do it, you'll go and do it. Like if you really want to do it, go and speak to your parents. I think your parents would understand if they know like you're really passionate about something. So I feel in Malaysia, like people really like, I don't know if I doubt is the right word, but they don't believe that
Squash, you can make a living out of
yes,
squash. Yeah.
like I wouldn't say like even now I'm in this position, I won't say I can make a living out of squash, right?
Yeah.
Like money is a different factor. Obviously, it is one of the factors, but it's not the main objective of it. Like compared to tennis, and all tennis has way more money. But like in terms of like when you're playing squash and you're winning tournament, it's just not about the tournament money. Like you get a lot of collaborations and things like that as well. So I feel like a lot of people don't see that area of it, and they don't see a living out of it, basically. Yeah.
How do we ensure more young girls get this awareness about, because this is sports and girls itself at least in our countries is a very far topic.
Yeah.
We don't get many athletes who pursue it full time, also pro and stuff like that, especially the Indian female community. How do I make that how do I create more awareness, you think?
I mean, I think when you're young, it all comes from your upbringing, right? Your parents. Like, are they willing to support you to do all this? Like, do they have an open mindset to actually allow the kids to pursue this kind of path? So, but like from the kids as well, again, when they're like a bit more mature, when maybe they're 14 or 15 years old, like they have to take risk. In life, if you don't take risks, like you're just going to stay in your comfort zone. I think a lot of these girls have to like maybe try to get out of the comfort zone, try to do something a bit different, like try out anything, sports, even like art and stuff. It's not famous, it's not big in Malaysia. Like something very like people should definitely like. There's a lot of talented artists and stuff like that, but like,
Yeah.
are they really pursuing their career? No, right? So basically, you got to try to get out of your comfort zone and try to put yourself in some pain to get the results later on. Yeah.
Have you ever? What was the most challenging part of convincing your parents? What was, or were you ever in that situation that you had to like sit down and have that conversation and tell your parents that okay, ma, pa, I'm gonna do this full time?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. Like, they knew I always wanted to do it. Like, I think when I was 15, 16, they know. Like, even when I have exams, I'm like, I'm going to go training. Don't disturb me. Like, because they always say, like, stay home, don't go training. Somehow.
Even when you were 16, like, I'm assuming by the time you were 16, you're already winning tournaments, right?
Yeah. I was doing a lot of junior tournaments that time, not really professional.
And you were winning. So what I'm saying is that you're not just
doing
you're not going to squash because
just for fun.
For fun. Obviously, you're doing this.
Yeah.
So even then, it was tough for you to kind of
like my parents saw, but like they always like I always told I did O levels. I didn't do SPM, right? So I did O levels, and I was like, oh, after O levels, they want me to do a degree. So I was like, I'll take a gap year to play professionally a year to see how I go and stuff like that. And then they said, okay, take a year, you do whatever you want, right? So, but like somehow my dad after O levels, he came up with like. Offers from US universities and things like that. And then I was like, no, I'm not going to leave the country. Like, I was actually very afraid to leave the country. I don't know how is it, and like to be there for 4 years.
So you've never been out. I mean, so before
I've only traveled for tournaments. Like I've never like really traveled to stay out, right? So to travel and stay out, and I'm sure the education there is very different. Culturally, people are different. Somehow he managed to convince me, and he was like, go and get a degree. Even then, in that 1 year gap, he told me I needed to do my 12th grade.
Yeah.
Like a Canadian pre-U kind of program before entering college. So basically didn't get the gap year.
Yeah.
I did it online, but I didn't get the gap year.
Still had to study.
Still had to study. So my dad definitely didn't.
Your dad knew what he was doing.
He tried, but like he tried to show me that I took a gap year, but when I look back now, it wasn't a gap year, right? So
you obviously sat them down. You would have had this whole rehearsal in your head. Because you're telling them, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
What was the pitch to them?
For me, like, I don't mind doing a degree. I will do it. I told them I will get a degree. Just give me a year to maybe I want to try to do full time. I don't know how it feels like. I've always been balancing between education and squash, and it's not easy, right? So I was like, I told them, I explained to them, like, give me 1 year to not try out, like to try being a full time athlete. Maybe I might not like it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be like, oh shit, this is too much for me, or like I've got nothing to do in my life and things like that. So, but somehow that's the thing I told them. But I told them, okay, after my degree, there's no masters, right? I told them, I'll do my masters if I want to do it, but I'm going to go full time if after degree, like that's about it. And by that time, I was already like almost 20. So I was like, I need to decide for myself. And I was like, somehow they agreed to it. And
because I think that's a very actually, I mean, that's both interesting and sad that to think about it, because it's not like you were just playing squash for fun and suddenly you tell your parents, I want to try this full time. You obviously very good at the sports. You obviously winning tournaments. You obviously you're the cream of the crop for the age group. So obviously you're not just a random person who likes squash. So even for you, you need to still sit down and have a conversation, and that's why I'm talking about. It's already difficult, even for you, difficult. And I mean, I don't think this is any blame on your parents, because obviously we are brought up in that space where they don't see the avenues, right? What would you tell that 17-year-old, 18-year-old Sangari now, looking back 7 years ago? Would you have done anything different?
I don't regret. I did like actually leaving the country, going to the US, getting a degree there. I don't regret. It has opened my mind a lot. Like, I think if I stayed in Malaysia, I'll be very narrow-minded.
What, as an athlete or as an individual, what do you think is what are the information that we are being side-blinded in this?
I guess let's just put the squash part away, So I obviously went abroad to study and do things. I think I've learned, like, I guess, just seeing from different perspective. Like, like, I feel like in Malaysia, if I was here, maybe I'll just see something in just one path. But then, like, I wouldn't maybe put myself in different situations. But I think, like, when I went there, I tend to learn. Obviously, culture is very different, and I think I'm mixing with these different cultures. I wouldn't say the culture is perfect. Like some of them, like culturally, it's bad.
You can bitch about them.
But
It's okay. We'll remove it.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of Americans, so
Okay.
I'm just there for squash. After that, maybe I'm going
The edit la, I'm not a big fan of American. அப்படி cut பண்ணி Cornell University வந்து tag பண்றோம். கரெக்ட்டா? Okay, I'm kidding.
And then yeah, I think just having a lot of options in life, like I feel a lot of people are very stick to one mind, like I want to do this, but
Why though?
maybe I should do my masters. I actually contemplated that as well. I was like, my parents would be proud of me.
Why do you think as a sports person you need to get the education as well?
I mean, I think it's just more than squash. Like, how long am I going to play squash for? As an athlete, like, how long are you going to be
Your lifespan as a
for, right? Like, so somewhere, like, okay, maybe injury or whatever, but eventually you retire. Yeah, eventually you retire, right? So once you retire, what are you going to do?
Okay.
Like, okay, you can be a squash coach. That's not what I want to do. Like, I will be involved in the squash scene, but I don't want to just put myself all in the squash world, right? I have different passions that I want to try to look into as well. So,
You know, I'm going to lead to that question, right? Because you already opened it up for me. What other passions that you have?
I majored in communication business.
Yeah.
So I like the
So this is in Cornell University
Yes.
for
I like the media industry a lot.
So you sorry, this got carried away. You are interested in media
stuff,
and
yeah.
content creation, social media stuff.
Social media stuff, or like even the corporate side of the world of communications and things
Okay,
like
so like basically content, producing
companies,
content,
all these
content
companies.
creation.
Like,
Do you like to write? Like, do you like to make stuff? Like, why are you interested in that?
I like I've took a production class before, and
Okay.
it's very interesting. I thought I was
Do you like acting?
no, like creating like stuff. Like,
Okay,
directing. Acting, no,
Okay.
pretty bad at it. But yeah, that interested. I was very interested and actually quite shocked that I was
You
passionate
liked
about
it?
it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I thought, well, oh, actually, like you never know until you actually.
Yeah, 'cause if
pick up
if
something.
you
if I was like, screw it, I don't want to take this class, I wouldn't know I had a passion in like producing and like all these things. So
What give me an example of something like you watched or something you saw and you're like, hey, I would like to make something like that one day. Everything?
no,
Anything that you
I
watched?
had to like create a 7 minutes, 8
for your
minutes
class?
video, and like actually had to. It was like a final year project
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it had to be very professional and things like that. And I was like editing and things. I was like, oh, this.
So you do
seems
video
fun.
editing?
Now, no, only for the
Okay.
class. Like I would do it now, but
She said no as if I'm going to give her a laptop and ask her to edit. No, I won't
now,
do that.
no,
Yeah.
like maybe in the future. But
Okay.
the class time when I did it, I was like, oh, this.
That
is
is interesting. Okay, so you are interested in that sort of that aspect of maybe you should create content about squash. Think about it.
Maybe.
As from a social media point of view, like you
sure.
can and you can still do it right now. Think about it. You
Yeah.
can actually mix those passion. So, but enough about squash, Sangari. One of the things that I wanted to ask is, you realize we've been talking for almost 30 minutes. Do you ever turn off squash in your head?
I don't know about outsiders, but obviously with my close friends, my close circle, I do turn off squash. Like I don't speak about it, right? Like because I'm trying to go and interact and not talk about squash because just out of it, just chill and like a lot of them. I mean, my close ones, like I'm not as intense when I'm outside of the squash court or when I'm not in that.
So they don't talk to you. I mean, obviously, they're not gonna like come to you and say like, "Hey, I'm the squash game patiya in the game patiya."
No.
They don't do that nonsense.
They don't do that because I don't do that as well.
Okay.
Like some of my friends are not even squash players. Like some of them are normal people and they're like, sometimes they don't even know what's going on, right? So it's always nice to have conversations with people who don't know about squash.
As a female sports athlete, do you have time for conversations about relationships?
Yeah.
Do you think about? Is it difficult to?
It is tough. It's tough because I guess with us we're always traveling and a lot of people these days can't do long distance and things like that.
Yeah.
So
And you say a lot of people like you obviously your eyes like sparkled like
No.
you're angry at that one
Nothing.
asshole who's not
No.
committing to that long.
No.
Kidding.
let's
Okay.
just put that in the past lah. And then, but I guess with this I think it's more of like I think we want to find someone because it's tough. It's like playing squash, playing and professional sports. It's just tough mentally, especially to be in that zone all the time. But I think it's always nice to have a partner who can be understanding.
Yeah.
But I guess a lot of times, a lot of people don't really understand what we are going through, and like sometimes even we don't understand what we're going through. I guess even as a normal human being, sometimes it happens, right? But with this, we can't really express. We can't really show angry issues to others. We don't want to be a don't want someone
So you
to
want
be a
someone
punching
else to
bag.
show your anger issues too, lah.
No, no. So it's more of like, I think we do think about it. We want someone to be there and stuff like that. But if we're not going to be understood, it's better to stay away
Not be,
because it
yeah.
can affect us mentally. Yeah.
What do you think is as for you right now, what do you think is the biggest challenge in committing to a relationship? Do you think your schedules and stuff like that's going to affect you?
Definitely, like schedules and all are busy. Like
Yeah.
again, it comes down to understanding each other. You no matter how busy you are, if you really want to commit to something, you will do it. You will eventually take the next step and commit and stuff like that. But it's more finding the right one to really understand.
How do you perceive relationships? Let's just get a bit more on that, because at the end of the day, I think forget the whole sports angle for a bit.
I think in terms of relationship, I'm not part of the Gen Z group.
Okay.
I think I'm a bit more old school if it comes to relationship and love and all these things. But it's tough. Like these days, it's tough, man. Like I guess a lot of people just want to hang out with you, chill with you, and then all of a sudden, if something like they like in a couple of days, they're like, oh, let's not,
Okay.
just want to try to get to know you and things like that, which is fine. Like I feel like the biggest thing about relationship, you have to be honest.
Yeah.
Like in a couple of days, it's fine, but if you drag it for like 2-3 years, like that's bad. So I feel like you need to be honest in terms of what you really want in a relationship. I think with these days, like they're not really honest with what they want. Like they just want to play along and see what they can get, and then like decide later on, right? So I'm not like that. Like I also,
So you in your case, what do you think a relationship should be?
I guess supporting each other is a big key of it. Understanding, and if you're having someone, it's more of just trying to get ears to listen to, like someone who you can talk to when you're feeling down, or like just to celebrate your ups and downs. And I guess it's just having that comfort and having that safe place where you can share whatever you're going through.
And you think what is missing these days
I think the communication. Like I don't think people communicate as well these days, and again, honesty comes down to it as well. I don't think people are honest with what they really want. So
do guys try to talk to you just because you're a very popular squash player, like is from guys?
I mean, that's why I don't like. Right?
Okay.
I don't like that part. Are you going to accept me if I'm not a squash player?
Correct.
That's my biggest question of relationship. Like I don't want someone to be like, oh, you're a squash player. I hate that. Like I'm like, you need to accept me for who I am. Like I don't have squash. What do I have? Right? So
I have anger issues. so that's attractive. That should be attractive.
yeah, no, they'll probably run away.
You had a major, stumbling block at that year, because that was the Commonwealth here. So you obviously got into an accident just before you got into a Commonwealth game.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I guess after that incident happened, obviously my first question was like, am I going to be able to play Com games, right? Because it was like 3 weeks away, and I was a flag bearer as well, and like all these things were going into my head. Like basically everything was just about squash.
Yeah.
I didn't care about my health as well at that point, because I don't think I knew how serious my injuries were and how I was and my condition and stuff like that. So all I was asking is like, am I allowed to play and things like that? So obviously like my coach was like, focus on yourself first. But it was tough. Like it was tough to watch the Com games. Like all these players were playing. I was watching this online, and I don't think I even watched. But like my parents were watching the TV. I was like, oh my god, why am I home now? But it was actually a very challenging moment. Like I didn't know. I didn't know if I was even going to be able to be playing squash again. Like, so I was just taking it day by day. Like some things are not meant to be. Again, like what you say, some things are not meant to be, and I know at that point of time as well, I know like if squash doesn't work, I have other path. Like I can do something.
So you went into that level of like
for sure, yeah.
Like
because when I was injured, like I couldn't do much. Like I could walk and all. Like in terms of squash related stuff, I was struggling. Right, so I was like, if I'll try my best. If it doesn't really work out, it's okay. Like there's something else in life. Like,
and because that happened almost at the peak of your growth as a sports person.
Yes. Basically, I took a gap semester to actually just recover from the accident. So I was like, what is going on, right? Like I had 2 major events to compete in. But I was just telling myself to just take it day by day, like it's not easy to get into the mindset. My routine was completely opposite. Like I was, instead of going to squash court, I was literally going to the rehab hall. I was going to hospitals for like weekly checkups and things like that, which was tough. Like I'm so traumatized to go to that hospital ever again. I like, but yeah, I think again, like I really want to do it. I really wanted to do it. I really wanted to prove myself that I can do this. Like basically you fall down 7 times, you wake up, the 8th time, right? So I just wanted to prove to myself that I can do it, and if I don't, it's okay. I've tried my best. Like I've given my all, and I can't achieve it, it's fine. But as long as putting the effort and trying to be there to get there, I'm happy with it.
Do you think now, going back to your earlier stages of a career, you had to do all that, if when one day, obviously in the future, I'm assuming you'll want to start your family on your own, would you let your kids take up sports?
Oh, it's a tough question. I hope my kids are mentally strong, but I guess if I have 2 kids, I'll put one into sport and one maybe
It's
not.
so biased. It's very unfair.
But we'll see who's the stronger one.
So you don't actually. That's very fair. That's such an interesting angle there. So you don't think if you had to run back the time, would you have selected this path?
Yes.
You have.
Yeah.
But why can't your kids?
I feel like I'm built differently, maybe. Also, like now in Gen Z, when a lot of kids.
So you don't think the younger generation?
Is going to be even worse, I feel.
You're 25. You're not 52.
But still,
okay.
The world's moving really quick.
Okay, so you do feel it takes a lot mentally to
a lot more, especially now. Social media is growing up so much, and all these comments and everything. Again, these external factors, external pressures, it's going to impact you. Like it's how well you're going to deal with it. And if someone doesn't deal with it well enough, it's
do you think you deal with it well enough?
Decent, I think.
Give me an example. Well. Give me an example of a comment which pissed the fuck out of you.
I mean, I don't really get triggered. My mom gets triggered a lot, and she's like, I want to reply to this comment. I said, just leave it. Don't do it. Just forget about it. Like people speak, you do good. People speak. You do bad. People speak. For me, it's like simple. Like if you know you're doing the right thing, that's enough. You don't have to prove the whole world that you're doing something great or something that's not right and stuff like that. For me, I think that's a key.
Give me an example of a comment or a tweet that you recently just pissed the shit out of you.
So I beat this girl in London, the world number 2 in the finals, and I had to actually play her in the second round in Egypt here, this tournament. But she somehow pulled out in this tournament because she said she was injured. And then I had this comment saying like, oh, Hania is injured in this tournament, she pulled out, so she's probably injured in the finals too. I got so pissed. I was like, what the heck?
So that is taking away the win that...
So they're basically telling, I just won because
she was injured. Okay.
I was like, sure.
Okay. And how do you deal with that? I mean, obviously you're a bit more calm, and I'm sure when you saw the tweet, you're like...
No, I was just like laughing. I was like, what are people on? Like, why can't you just be happy for someone? Like, I feel like there's so much hate in this world. Like, if someone wins... How is it affecting
why is
you?
it so difficult to give them that
Even
win?
the girl who lost to me has accepted the loss and left, and whatever, she's injured. I like it's up to her, like whatever she wants to say the story, but why
must you
give these comments, like why? I don't get as bad comments like and things like that in squash, but I know other couple players that actually get like pretty bad comments and on YouTube and all these things of like body shaming players and things like that, which is very bad. Like, I if I would have got those comments, I'll be like, what's going on here?
Okay. On a final note, when you obviously started, this year, and you're number 16, and obviously you're still, people still don't look at you as a threat. Would anything change, you think, in terms of how you're gonna train or how you're gonna go and face these guys again?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, there'll be expectations from me. Expectation from others as well, and then there'll be pressure again. Like, I'm not going on court every time being an underdog as well, right? So there'll be a lot more pressure to deal with. But again, the mental side of it, for me, it's easy to speak, it's harder to do, but I'm just trying to enjoy myself out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, make it as an art. Like, I'm going into squash court playing a tournament, try to make it an art. Like, try to just take it another day as another game. Like at the end of the day, again, numbers don't matter, right?
Yeah.
Even if I'm playing world number 1 or world number 50, the numbers don't matter. You're literally playing another professional squash player.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to still working on it. Obviously, it's different every game, but trying to always put that mindset in whenever I'm playing tournaments.